Hi there, my name is Caleb Pearson with Compass Financial Services. And here at Compass, believe it or not, we have advisors who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. So along that theme, in this video, what we want to talk about are things that you should be thinking about in each of those age groups as it relates to planning for retirement. So to get started, we're going to start with Alan Holstein for those of you in your 20s.
Hi 20-somethings. 3 things that we should be focusing on in our 20s. The first is budgeting. It's important to create a budget that's not too complicated that you and your family can follow on a monthly basis. This will help you see where you might be overspending, as well as what income might be left over at the end of the month to use towards other things. Our second point is paying down high interest debt. Things like credit cards or student loans, basically any debt that might not increase in value. The third thing is investing. We want to have a routine set in place on a monthly system that we can put money away, and it might be through an employer 401k, an outside IRA, or even a general investment account. But the sooner that we can start the habit of investing, the more our long-term time horizon will benefit us. And if we follow these 3 things, we'll be positioned really well heading into our 30s.
So for those of you who are in your 30s, your career is a little bit more established and your income has started to grow. So consider adding more towards the retirement accounts that you've established. Also begin thinking about how that money is invested so you can really realize and understand the risk and reward balance that you have going on. A couple of other things to think about is make sure that you do have all your high interest rate debt taken care of. And then also start planning ahead for major expenses like college education for your kids, another house, car, those types of things. So when those big expenses come up, you don't have to reduce how much you're putting into retirement savings and you have those expenses taken care of. Next, we're going to hear from Justin Van Houten about your 40s.
Financial planning in your 40s is an exciting time. Your family's growing, kids are getting older, you may even have 1 or 2 kids leaving the nest. And so it's great to go back to the good financial habits you build in your 20s and 30s and expand upon those. So starting out, if you have any lingering debt from your 30s, you want to make sure you start paying that down. You're also entering some of your higher earning years, so you want to make sure you're increasing retirement contributions every year. Increasing by 1% is a great rule of thumb. You also want to increase contributions to non-qualified accounts, meaning investment accounts where you put after-tax dollars to work. If you have access to an HSA, you want to max out those contributions for future healthcare needs. And lastly, you want to start looking at estate planning. Make sure that you have enough life insurance to protect those you care about. Review investment accounts and make sure your beneficiaries are up to date. And lastly, you want to make sure you have a will so that your intentions are followed the way that you wish. If you follow these steps, you will successfully navigate the financial journey of your 40s.
Mid-50s seems to be the age that people start taking retirement seriously. Your investment objective should be shifting from growth to income. And if this is you, you may want to ask yourself a few questions. When do you want to retire, and are you saving enough money now per month in the right types of accounts? Do you need to be out of debt? And what's the tax situation going to be once you're no longer working? Once you've answered a couple of those questions, the most important question to ask yourself is your expectation about your retirement in line with your reality? Up to come is Steve Conard with the 60s.
You're in your 60s now, so it's time to start developing a realistic budget for your retirement years. And that starts with determining how far your resources that you've accumulated will go. How much income will they generate and for how long? Social Security, if you have a pension, and of course what you've saved. Finally, taking strategies before you retire to actually fund your retirement. And so that might determine accelerating getting out of debt if you still have debt. It might involve supercharging your savings rates, saving more than you've been. It might involve figuring out how to time certain things, like when do you start Social Security? And finally, of course, do we need to shift investment strategy? We've been working, we've been saving, we've been investing, but that's to save for retirement. Now we're going to be spending that money. Do we need to change strategy?